Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. This is the second video of the day, and we are talking about the Monday night prelim of the Chili Bowl Nationals coming up 1 week from tonight. We're going to be doing this for each and every day throughout this week, talking about each individual prelim night by themselves. I'm going to be going over the overall numbers, some of the past results and things like that from the Monday prelim. And then over here, I'm going to give you my top 10, who I think out of all of the drivers racing on Monday, my top 10 drivers that are going to finish inside of the first couple of finishing positions on that first prelim night. And I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you do not agree with my top 10, I want to know what yours is in the comment section below. Maybe we've got a couple of guys that are different. I think for the most part, the first 5 or 6, everybody's going to have probably close to the same. But it is still fun, I think, to kind of jump in there and give my own opinion on who I think is going to be there. Now, I have been to the Chili Bowl 11 or 12 times. I'm 30 years old, just turned 30. I've been going since I was about 18 or so years old. And Chili Bowl is one of the best events of the year. In my opinion, I think it's the best event. The racing is spectacular all week long. If you're sitting over in turn 2, the rowdy section is fantastic as well. A lot of fun to be had over there. I will not be going this year. I'll be making videos here on the YouTube channel and trying to grow this channel as much as I can before the high limit racing season gets kicked off in March. So there are 300, as of right now, 371 total cars that are entered into the Chili Bowl Nationals for this year. 71 of those total entries will be going on Monday night, which is the 4th most out of anybody or out of all the other prelim nights. So there's one night that is 79. I believe that is the most on Wednesday. And then the least amount, I believe, is 69 nice on one of the nights as well. So 4th as far as the most entries going on Monday. 3 of those entries are to be announced. So there are cars that are entered into the event that we don't have drivers for quite yet. And the reasoning for that is they have to be entered into the event before it starts, or else the car cannot race. And so they're waiting to find a driver for 3 cars for Monday night. There are also 22 drivers making their first ever appearance at the Chili Bowl Nationals this year, which is the most rookies out of any of the prelim nights next weekend, or next week, I should say. So 22 drivers going to be rookies, which in my opinion, it's always fun to see who could be the potential rookie of the year. And in my opinion, I have the guy for Monday. He is actually in my top 10. We'll talk about him here more in just a few moments. There are 15 former A-Main event starters that are going to be racing on Monday. And I'm talking Saturday A-Main, not the prelim nights. So guys that have made the Saturday main event before, there are 15 of them racing on Monday. That is the 2nd most out of any of the prelim nights next weekend. So Monday is pretty stacked. I don't think it's the most stacked night by any means. And off the top, I feel like Friday is definitely the weakest of all the prelims that we've got so far. Obviously, a lot can change. This 71 can turn into 75 or could turn into 65. Guys move around nights throughout the week. But right now, Friday is certainly, in my opinion, the weakest of the prelim nights so far. There are also 20 drivers racing on Monday that were a part of a prelim night A-Main in 2024, which is tied for the 3rd most out of all the prelim nights next weekend. So a pretty good amount of drivers from last year made the show, at least on the prelim night, 20 of them. And so that's a pretty good number to see there as well. Now, the last 5 Monday night winners, it's only 2 names. It's been 2 guys dominating the last 5 years. In 2024, it was California's Tanner Carrick. He started 4th in that main event, was able to pick up the win. In 2023, it was Cannon McIntosh. He started 1st in that one, led all the laps. 2022, it was Tanner Carrick again. This time he started 3rd in the feature. Cannon McIntosh won it in 2021 and in 2020 as well. Monday night has not been around for a super long time in the grand scheme of the Chili Bowl. What is this, the 40th year, 41st year? I can't remember the exact, maybe the 42nd, I don't know, 39th, something like that, but it has not been around for a super long time. Monday's only been around for maybe 5, 6, 7 years. But so far, those last 5 years have been dominated by Keith Kunz Motorsports. Tanner Carrick and Cannon McIntosh, both of those drivers race for Keith Kunz, who has 14 cars entered into the event, and it's a pretty stacked lineup. I feel like it's a more stacked lineup that Keith has had over the last couple of years, and I think he's got a great opportunity to maybe even sweep all of the prelim nights coming up next weekend. Now, let's jump into my top 10. Who do I think are going to be the drivers finishing in the top 10 on Monday night. And I'm going to start off by going with the two guys that have won the last couple of years. Tanner Carrick, he is going to be in one of the Keith Kunz Motorsports cars, and his teammate as well, Cannon McIntosh. I feel like you have to have him on the board as well, finishing inside the top 10 for Monday night. And then obviously everybody is going to have Young Money Kyle Larson, the multi-time Chili Bowl winner. I've got him in my top 10. If you don't, I don't know how. I really don't know how. He looked absolutely incredible out there on the West Coast when he ran with USAC. I know he hasn't been to the Chili Bowl. Well, he went last year, but he crashed, and it was just kind of a weird circumstance. But Kyle Larson, certainly going to be a guy that finishes inside the top 5. And then a guy that many people, I feel like in the grand scheme of things, Chili Bowl is watched by a lot of people that don't watch a ton of dirt racing and midget racing throughout the year. A lot of people watch the Chili Bowl. That's their only dirt race all year. Here's a name that many of those people might not be familiar with. Oops, let me make sure I spell his name right. And that is Shane Golovic, sprint car racer from out in California, driving the Matt Wood Racing number 17W with NOS Energy Drink as a sponsor. Shane Golovic, in my opinion, one of the best and most underrated midget drivers in the entire country, and he does not race them very much at all anymore. He won the Indiana Midget Week title a couple of years ago. He's been up front every single year at the Chili Bowl. If there isn't, unless he has some bad luck or something like that. Shane Golovic, phenomenal racer, and he is going to be, in my opinion, not only in the top 10, but I would be shocked if he's not in the top 5 on the Monday night prelim. And then a guy that I think could win on Monday night, and I'm not talking about these 4, because these guys are obviously good, but I love this driver and this car combination with Briggs Danner, the driver out of Pennsylvania, driving the Alex Bowman Racing number 55. Fantastic race cars. They are everything lightweight, everything badass, everything you could ever want in a midget for the Chili Bowl. Briggs Danner is going to have a huge opportunity. He's ran the bowl a couple of times. In the past, he's been in some cars that aren't quite the caliber of what he's got now. Now he's driving a car that, no expenses spared. It is one of the best cars in the entire building. Briggs Danner, in my opinion, quote it right now, I think he's a guy that is contending for the win on Monday night. I think if he's not on the podium, I will honestly be shocked. This kid is the real deal, and I am so excited that he's able to get this ride with Alex Bowman, and he's got a big year ahead of him, man. He's running USAC National Sprint Cars, but Briggs Danner, I think he's going to kick off the Chili Bowl in a big way. Now, let's jump down to the second half of the top 10, and the guy that I think is going to be the Rookie of the Year, at least on Monday, the best running rookie, and that is going to be Zach Weigel. So Zach Weigel driving one of the Chad Boat Industries cars. He ran this year with USAC, ran very, very well. I'm not sure if he got any wins or not, but he was very, very good on a couple of different occasions, led some laps at different races and things like that. He's never been able to run the Chili Bowl before. I don't think he's been old enough, but now he is there, and he is going to be a guy that is certainly going to be one that's up inside the top 10, in my opinion. He's in a very good race car. Obviously, we know Chad Boat puts a good piece on the racetrack, and Zach Weigel has had plenty of experience throughout this season to get himself prepared. Now, another guy that I think is going to be running very well is going to be Brent Crews. Coming off of that Tulsa shootout win, I think it was in the stock non-wing division, and Brent Crews has ran well at the Chili Bowl before, driving the Paul May Motorsports 71 car. Crews does not run a midget all that often. He runs mostly pavement stuff here recently. For some reason, people on Twitter think that he's a pavement guy, but he started out on the dirt. He did not start out as a pavement racer. As far as I know, I've seen him race outlaw karts and micros and things like that. But Brent Crews, I think he is going to be a guy that's up inside the top 10. He's made the Chili Bowl main event before, and so I have no doubt that he's going to be up there competing for a top 10 and maybe a lock-in spot if things go his way on Monday night. Now, also who I think is going to be very good is another guy that does not run midgets very often or open wheel cars at all, and that is World of Outlaws late model driver Nick Hoffman. Hoffman will be driving a 2H car. I believe it's the same car he ran last year for Jeff Taylor, if I'm not mistaken, Rockwell Security, NOS Energy Drink. Nick Hoffman, very, very underrated driver. We've seen him do great things in modifieds, ran very, very well this year with the World of Outlaws late model series. and he was extremely fast in the midget the 2 times he's ran him so far, at least at the Chili Bowl. And I think Nick Hoffman is a guy that has some extremely good racecraft, and he's very good at keeping his nose clean, knowing when to push it. He's ran on the big stages before, albeit not really in the midget side of things, but with the late models and things like that, he adapted very, very quickly. That car is super, super good. I think he's a good driver, and I think he will be in the top 10 on Monday night. Another guy that maybe a lot of people don't really know about if they don't pay attention to dirt racing all that much, and I'm worried about this pick because of things that have happened in the past, but I'm going to put him on there because he's old reliable, and it's Trey Marcham. So Trey Marcham from Oklahoma. If you know who that is, then you definitely know dirt racing pretty well, in my opinion. If you don't know who he is, he's ran very well at the Bowl before. It's a family-owned car. It's not like he's got 17 other teammates out there. He's got a Toyota engine. He's got, I believe, Spike chassis. I could double check over here. I've got the entry list pulled up. Let's just take a look here. We got time. It's the Spike Speedway Toyota. So Trey Marcham, he's got the good equipment, but sometimes I get worried because I feel like I've seen him blow up before when I picked him in the Chili Bowl pool. And I'm just hoping if that does not happen, Trey Marcham is a guy that can certainly finish up inside the top 10. He has done it before. And so I really like this guy. He's been under the pressure of running at this event a ton of times. So I don't think he's really going to be nervous or anything like that when it comes to that prelim feature. If he can get through the heat race, which is going to be a lot of the guys' issues. The main issue is getting through that heat race. If he can do that, Trey Marcham is a guy that can drive through the field and finish inside the top 10. And the final guy, let me just double check here. Double check my last guy here. Yes, this one might be a little bit off the wall, to be quite honest with you. And I went back and forth on him and a couple of other guys here on the Monday night prelim. But I'm going to put, well, I'm going to have to put his whole name out there because his last name doesn't count. It doesn't work. Joe B. Miller. Joe B. Miller. I'm putting him on the board. Top 10, at least for me on Monday night. And I'm talking, I don't think he's a top 5 guy, but I really do think he's a top 10 driver on Monday night. Joe B. Miller, he has also got a really good piece behind him. He's ran well in the midget before. He's ran mostly the sprint car all season long, but he's very good in micros, and he just ran the Tulsa Shootout, so he's got that kind of that recency bias, right? He just ran inside the building. He just ran the racetrack, and so I think that does help him a lot, along with Trey Marcham. He just ran the shootout as well. Brent Cruz, he ran the shootout. I think that's it. You got Larson, you got McIntosh. Those guys ran the shootout. But Joe B. Miller, I'm going to put him as my 10th best guy on Monday night. I think that I have a pretty darn good list here. There were certainly some other guys that I could have had in there. Guys that just missed out for me. Justin Peck, he is racing that night. Alex Sewell, another Oklahoma kind of area guy that is very, very good. Corbin Ruschenberg, he's a little bit scary. I feel like he likes to crash. But when he does not crash, he is very, very good as well. You got Gary Taylor out there, GT from Washington. He's driving that Brian Dunlap-owned 32 car. Bill Balog is one to watch for as well, driving the Beast Enterprises 71G. That car is good when it stays together and doesn't blow up. And Balog has shown in the past that he can get around the Chili Bowl pretty well, even in a car that's all not that good. He ran that Bill Ecker 57 car a couple of years ago, or maybe it was the AJ Felker car. I think it was the Ecker car, and he was actually very impressive. So Balog, we've also got Trevor Klein, Roger Crockett, Kyle Jones is good as well. I've got Cap Henry that just missed my list here, Austin Torgerson. And yeah, so those are just a couple of guys that I think are going to be running up front at the Chili Bowl on Monday night. So that is our preview for Monday. We'll be back here tomorrow for Tuesday night's prelim. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment down below your top 10. Who do you think are the best guys going out on Monday? What do you think about the Chili Bowl overall? I want to hear all of your thoughts and more down below. Make sure to hit subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll talk to you guys again here soon.